Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a groundbreaking story that bridges the gap between ancient history and modern science, rewriting what we thought we knew about the first peoples of North America. It's a tale of resilience, deep roots, and the power of DNA to tell the stories our ancestors couldn't write down. This story centers on the Blackfoot Confederacy, whose ancestral lands stretch across the vast Great Plains of what is now Montana and southern Alberta. For generations, their oral traditions have spoken of a connection to this land that goes back to time. Now, an incredible scientific study has provided powerful evidence to support these ancient claims, tracing their lineage all the way back to the last ice age. What makes this study so special is that it wasn't just about the Blackfoot people. It was led by them. In a powerful example of community-led research, members of the Blackfoot Confederacy partnered with researchers from multiple universities, including the University of Illinois and the University of Montana. This collaboration ensured that the research was conducted with respect, integrity, and a deep understanding of cultural significance. The goal was clear: to use modern genetic tools to explore the deep history of the Blackfoot people in their ancestral territory, known as the Blackfoot Old Man River drainage. The elders and community leaders weren't just subjects. They were co-authors and guiding voices throughout the entire process. This approach is a game-changer for how science can work with indigenous communities, moving away from a history of extractive research to one of true partnership. So, what did they find? The results are nothing short of astonishing. By analyzing the DNA of living members of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the science team was able to identify a unique genetic lineage. When they compared this lineage to ancient DNA found in the region, they discovered a direct, unbroken link stretching back thousands upon thousands of years. The study, published in the prestigious journal Science Advances, concludes that the ancestors of today, as Blackfoot people, have been living in this part of the Great Plains for at least 18,000 years. Let that sink in for a moment. 18,000 years. This means their ancestors were present during the peak of the last glacial maximum, the heart of the Ice Age, when massive ice sheets covered much of North America. This finding fundamentally challenges a long-held theory about how the Americas were populated. For decades, the dominant model was the ice-free corridor hypothesis. This theory suggested that the first people to enter the interior of North America traveled down a narrow, ice-free passage that opened up between the massive Laurentide and Cordilleran ice sheets around 13,000 years ago. These people, known as the Clovis culture, were thought to be the ancestors of all subsequent indigenous peoples in the Americas. However, the Blackfoot DNA story paints a very different picture. Their 18,000-year-old lineage predates the opening of that ice-free corridor by several millennia. This suggests that their ancestors were already living south of the ice sheets long before the Clovis people arrived. So, how is this possible? The study supports an alternative theory: the coastal migration route. This idea proposes that the first Americans didn't walk through an inland corridor, but instead traveled down the Pacific coast, likely using boats and exploiting marine resources. They would have moved along the coastline of Baringe, the ancient land bridge that connected Asia and North America, and then south along the west coast. From there, groups could have moved inland when and where conditions permitted. The Blackfoot ancestors would have been among these early peoples who established themselves south of the ice in a refuge area. This area, which includes the northern Great Plains, would have been a habitable landscape, a sort of island of life surrounded by ice, where plants, animals, and people could survive. The study's lead author, Ripon Malley, a geneticist at the University of Illinois, emphasized the significance of these findings. He explained that the genetic data shows a remarkable continuity. It's not a story of one group replacing another. It is a story of a single population persisting in the same region through dramatic climate changes and millennia of history. This genetic continuity aligns perfectly with the Blackfoot oral traditions, which have always maintained that they have been in their territory since the beginning of time. For the Blackfoot people, this is UND informationate as a scientific validation of what their elders and storytellers have been saying for countless generations. It transforms their oral history from what some might have dismissed as myth into a scientifically supported historical record. Let's talk more about what life would have been like 18,000 years ago. This was a world vastly different from our own. It was the late Pleistocene, an era of megafauna. Woolly mammoths, giant ground sloths, and saber-toothed cats roamed the landscape. The ancestors of the Blackfoot people were skilled hunters and gatherers, navigating this challenging environment. They would have lived in small, mobile bands, adapting to the shifting seasons and the movements of the great herds of animals they depended on. Their survival in such a harsh climate is a testament to their incredible ingenuity, resilience, and deep knowledge of the land. This study allows us to imagine them not just as abstract figures from the past, but as the direct ancestors of a vibrant, living culture today. The research process itself is a story worth telling. It began with years of building trust and relationships. The research team held numerous community meetings to explain the project and listen to the concerns and questions of the Blackfoot people. The community was involved in every step, from collecting the DNA samples, which was simple saliva swabs, to interpreting the results. This collaborative model is now being hailed as a gold standard for ethical research with indigenous populations. It demonstrates that science can be a tool for empowerment, helping communities reclaim their own histories and narratives. For the Blackfoot Confederacy, the study provides undeniable evidence of their long-standing claim to the land, which has significant implications for treaty rights and cultural preservation. Moreover, The study reveals the incredible diversity of indigenous peoples in the Americas right from the start. The old Clovis first model tended to homogenize the story of the first Americans. This new evidence shows that there were multiple founding groups, multiple migration routes, and deep regional histories that began long before 13,000 years ago. The Blackfoot lineage is distinct from other indigenous groups, highlighting that the peopling of the Americas was a complex and multifaceted process, not a single event. It's like finding a previously unknown, foundational chapter in the story of human history on this continent. Each new discovery like this adds another layer of richness and complexity to our understanding. This research also underscores the immense value of oral traditions as a valid form of historical record. For too long, Western science has tended to dismiss oral histories as unreliable. But here we have a case where the oldest stories passed down through generations are directly confirmed by the most advanced genetic science available. It's a powerful reminder that there are many ways of knowing, and that scientific data and traditional knowledge can complement and enrich one another, as Blackfoot elder and study co-author Termaine, Standing on the Road, beautifully put it. Our oral history and our science are one and the same. This study is a bridge between two worlds of knowledge, proving they can not only coexist but also validate each other. The implications going forward are huge. This study serves as a powerful precedent for other indigenous communities around the world who wish to explore their deep history on their own terms. It provides a roadmap for how to conduct research that is respectful, collaborative, and beneficial to the community itself. It also opens up new avenues for archaeological and genetic research in the Great Plains, encouraging scientists to look for evidence of human occupation that is much, much older than previously thought. The story of the Americas is still being written, and it is indigenous peoples themselves who are increasingly holding the pen. In conclusion, the Blackfoot lineage study is so much more than just a scientific paper. It's a story of survival against the odds, a validation of ancient wisdom, and a powerful statement about indigenous sovereignty and identity. It shows us that the history of the Great Plains is deeper and more ancient than we ever imagined, and that the descendants of those Ice Age survivors are still here today, carrying their heritage forward. It's a profound connection between the past, present, and future, written in the very DNA of the Blackfoot people. What an incredible story of resilience and deep, unwavering connection to the land.